Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya. Belarus is in the spotlight this week. Thursday, the country released 52 political prisoners, among them Polish citizens, but also Warsaw-based Belsat journalists and opponents to Lukashenko. Now, for our viewers who don't know, Belsat is TVP World's sister channel and is based in Warsaw. Now, John Cole, the U.S. rep for Ukraine, oversaw the release. Gitanas Nausėda, president of Lithuania, called it a huge diplomatic success for America. Joining me now to discuss this further is Alina Koushyk, the editor-in-chief of Belsat TV. Alina, I'm so happy to have you here with us this morning on World Talks. Alina, I think this past week for you personally must have been an extremely emotional one. As I said, Belarus is in the spotlight all week. I want to first ask you about the released Belsat journalists. Where are they now? Have you personally met them? What's been the journey like? And most importantly, I mean, will they be able to go back to work for Belsat?
Hi, Diana. Thank you for having me. Definitely, this is a happy moment in history of Belsat. Having so many colleagues in prison, before this week, we had 11 our colleagues in prison. This is a really huge number. These journalists, they receive from 2, 3, 5, even 8 years just for working for Belsat. This Thursday, when we started to release information that among this group which might be received will be our journalists, I was in our editorial, and my immediate decision was just to sit down in the car and to drive to Vilnius, because we know that American embassy is covering this process of releasing, and they would be driven to the U.S. Embassy in Vilnius. So I took my cameraman, we took a car, and drive like crazy to Vilnius. Unfortunately, we could not reach the first bus which came to the embassy, but this is the last bus. There were 3 buses. In which bus we have like separate group of political prisoners. In first group, it was mostly citizens of other countries, EU countries, and some Belarusians. And the last bus, it was almost in the night. It came from the border because there were some troubles with documents. Political prisoners, some of them, not all, but some of them, their passports were not given back to them, so they didn't have passports. Among them was one of our cameramen. But hopefully we did have a copy of his passport, which allow Lithuanian authorities to issue a visa to enter European Union. So now our colleagues are in Vilnius. We are taking care of them, and now there's an issue of legalization. So we are preparing documents and to bring them all to Poland.
Alina, you said something, that now they are being taken care of and they're still in Vilnius, but I want you to walk us through, please. I mean, some of the videos that we saw of these released prisoners, I mean, they look incredibly frail, thin, possibly, there was hunger going on there. Tell us a little bit about the stories that they may have shared in the past few days on their ordeals inside Belarusian prisons.
First of all, I want to thank all people who were involved in this action of releasing political prisoners. Of course, President Trump and Mr. Cole and Mr. From American side. There was a bunch of people who were involved in this process, but also Polish MFA and personally Minister Sikorski, because we know that the role of Poland in releasing especially Belarusian Belsat political prisoners was significant. If we are going back to what is going on in Lukashenko's penal colonies, we can call it maybe not concentration camps, but we can call it working camps. They are regime just using very cheap, almost without any money, work of people who received some terms for being political prisoners or just what struck me when I was talking to our journalists, they said that in colonies almost 10% of people who are at the moment in colonies, these are people so-called politiki or political. They have yellow labels in their robes, and that means that their articles, their terms are somehow related to political events. What does it mean to be political? That's, for example, if you comment some extremist media outlet like Belsat, and you can imagine that all independent media at the moment are labeled by regime as extremist. For these, people are really in jail at the moment. What goes to conditions?
Was there any torture involved, Alina? Was there any torture, physical torture involved?
Some people testimonied tortures, but not that much. I think that this system is more concentrated on breaking you as a person, breaking your physical abilities, breaking your mental abilities.
Psychological terror, basically, yeah.
Psychological techniques, yes. And of course, very hard work every day. Every day they've been working on separate entities which are inside the colony, and of course very poor food. They receive very bad quality of food and very small amounts of food. That's why they look like this at the moment.
Alina, so what's going to happen to them now? What is their future going to look like? I mean, I know it's a little bit of a tough prediction to make, but I mean, what can we assume?
Now they're free people. Free from one hand, but from the other hand, they're not totally free because many of them really want to go back to Belarus. But Belarusian authorities regime, they did not let them a choice. Because why they were captured? Because they still left in the countries. Regime machine was ongoing, and they are looking for some new people to catch. And of course, the journalists who were still working in the countries were on the spot. That's why they took them, because they are real patriots. That's why goal of many of them is to be back to Belarus. But now it's not possible because there are cases then people after releasing will go back to Belarus and they were captured again. So at the moment, yes, they are in Vilnius. Most of them probably will go to Poland, and of course I propose to continuation work with Belsat, but I think that now this is not the most important. The most important for them is to go back to reality and to check up their health issues, because these 3 or 5 years in this penitentiary system of Lukashenko pressed a huge mark on their health. Physical health as well. So first, this is health issue, and then we will talk about legalization. We will talk about some job opportunities. But can you imagine that for 5 years, some people, they could not even have a telephone in their hand. They do not know what applications do we use now. The only source of information for them were their relatives. Somehow, some of them, not all, but some of them had some dates with relatives, very rare, but still, and propaganda television. This was the only source of information.
And of course, the Russian.
That's why
and the Russian narrative. Alina, let me ask you though, what was the cost of releasing these prisoners? I mean, what would you say Alexander Lukashenko gained, the fact that he released them?
Yes, unfortunately, we all know that for Lukashenko, political prisoners are just people to bark for something. And for a couple of months, I heard some rumors that the cost of releasing of Belsat political prisoners were stopping sanctions on Belarus. Belarus, this is the biggest state-owned avia company in Minsk. And what we saw, yes, they not stopped totally, but they posed sanctions on Belarus. I think that this price is very high, but the freedom of our colleagues and our political prisoners is priceless.
How do you think Moscow is going to possibly take advantage of the situation? The fact that, for instance, sanctions were lifted now on Belarus.
I think that sanctions on Belarus for Russian Federation are not crucial at the moment, but they were very important, especially for Lukashenko regime. So I don't feel like that for Russian Federation this is something really very special. And what I need to underline that still repressions are ongoing in Belarus. We see how difficult it is to release people from prisons in Belarus. And what one more very important issue, what I should say, 8 of our colleagues have been released, and most of these people, they almost finished their term in prison. So couple of months, half a year just left for them, which is not that much. So they're releasing just those people who really almost finished their term in prison. So now we see new detentions in Belarus, so probably new political prisoners. That's why the main goal is to stop this repression machine. And this is one of the demands of Svetlana Tikhanovskaya and democratic forces, because otherwise, you cannot have enough sanctions to release all political prisoners, because each day you have new political prisoners, and the only way is to stop this repression machine. I mean, stop Lukashenko. And I think that United States, and even not only United States, I think that European Union can be more persistent on Lukashenko, because sanctions are very painful to him, and his goal is to lift sanctions, and most of the sanctions are being opposed by European Union. That's why we are waiting
Alina, let me ask
for
you this.
a strong voice of Brussels.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you're saying that Lukashenko, he feels the heaviness of the sanctions. Let me ask you this. So reports are that Belarus, of course, has surprisingly warned Poland about the Russian drone incursion onto Polish airspace, but of course didn't shoot them down. Is it possible that releasing prisoners was kind of an apology act on behalf of Belarus to Poland, or do you not see it that way?
I don't see it that way. I think this was a coincidence in the time, because the process of political prisoners is a really long way. That's why, but now we see the intensification of relations between Belarus, I mean Lukashenko side, and United States, and they see that a lot of things are going on. I don't think like these things are coincidental. I would rather say that this drone attack on Poland is more related to Zapad military drills, which started in Belarus at the moment. And I feel like this is just a military side of aggression and putting more pressure on Poland. But we see that we had first one drone, then we had 2 drones in Poland. Now we have a drone attack in Poland, and I feel like Poland should react more heavily, because otherwise these red lines would be put farther and farther and farther, and I don't feel like Polish people would be happy about that, because what can be next? People cannot feel safe like people in Ukraine. Of course, for Ukrainians it's not a big deal, because drones are not a big deal. I mean,
right.
They're accustomed to that. But for US citizens, for a country which is a member of NATO, I believe that this is a very warning sign.
Thank you so much, Alina Koushyk, Editor-in-Chief of Belsat TV, for breaking it down for us here on World Talks. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching and stay with us here for more news.